And now, it's that time of the week once again. Welcome to the Departure Lounge podcast with your host, Tom Whittle, your ticket to the home of aviation podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 76 of the Departure Lounge live here on the Departure Lounge YouTube channel. I hope you are well. We're also live on, I'm going to get the name correct this time, it's VI Media. So if you're watching on there, hello to you. Hope you're all well and had a fantastic bank holiday. We'll get straight into it. I'll introduce the co-host for the show. Or the new co-host, redeeming himself after last week. It is, of course, new co-host Ken Carr. Ken, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, apologies, people. You'll be pleased to know, or disappointed to know, that I'm not on the red wine tonight. So,
there you go.
Behave.
Yes, if you're disappointed, thumbs down. If you're pleased about it, thumbs up.
Beer, though.
He's got beer. Yeah, all is not lost. How has your weekend been?
It's been good. I had a great afternoon in the pub watching seagulls today at Clacton.
Beautiful.
Enjoying how their aerodynamics work, should we say.
Fantastic. I'm just going to try something out here. Oh, I don't know if I like that. It's too zoomed in. Yeah, I don't like that. It's too zoomed in. But no, fantastic. Right, let's get into... We'll get into the comments in a minute. So we'll get into the sort of housekeeping side of things. So if you wish to follow us on social media, you can find it in the description below. One of the guys will put it in the chat as the evening goes on. Race to whoever wants to do that. There's no actually designated person, so go for it. So you want to follow us and keep up to date with everything that's happening. Look in the description below for that. You can also find our merch, which is in the shop, which is also in the description below as well. So if you want to support the channel, do so by buying that. And of course, you can join our Facebook group that we've got going, the Departure Lounge community channel. So if you wish to kind of join in on that and share some of your pictures from past and present, or stories that you may have with other fellow AvGeeks, do get involved with that as well. And of course, if you wish to be a guest on the show, do drop us a message via any sort of form of social media, and we'll get you on the show as soon as we can. And before we go off the housekeeping, Ken, do your thing.
Do
it now.
My sales pitch. Guys.
Go for it.
Brand new out. Hang on, let's get that. LHR magazine issue 10. It's only 2 months late, but it's here now. Right, so get that. We've got a great book on Heathrow. Hang on, let's get the Heathrow Millennium Memories. It's like just loads and loads of pictures from the good old days. And obviously, because of what we're doing tonight, if you can see that, there we go. Lots on Concorde. So that's available. And it basically covers stuff from about the 95 to about 2004. And our newest book, Manchester Airside. If you ever want to know how an airport works, this book is for you. I've got this back to front here. It tells you all the different types of aircraft that come into Manchester, but also all the different aspects of how an airport actually operates. Absolutely cracky. It's only $13.95 plus post, and it's available on vimedia.co.uk. All of that stuff, and have a look at it, guys. vimedia.co.uk.
Good stuff. We'll get the website in the chat at some point as well, just to make it easier for people to go on to.
Yeah.
And that. So yes, do consider going for some of them. So let's have a quick look and see who we have in the stream this evening.
The regulars.
Steve is there. He says, "All right, team. Happy Bank Holiday. Happy Bank Holiday to you too. Well done for joining us this evening." Serena Riley, one of our mods or newest mods, is here as well. She says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope you are all well." So hello to you. Clive Everly, having obviously noticed what we're doing this evening, says, "Who does not love Concorde, a thing of beauty and a co-British French design?" Absolutely. Hide your APUs. Jack Rolls is here. He loves a good APU, does Jack. So good evening to you. Let's have a look here. Sarah's obviously watching and also keeping an eye on you.
Yes, all right. She does a better job than she did last week. That's all I can say. I think she should have been the one that should have been sacked.
Controversial. Also, talking of controversial, we won't mention it, but Jack says, "Anyone see the Bournemouth score at the weekend?" Let's not talk about that. Let's not upset anybody right now. MaxJet TV Live Express, whose name has now suddenly got shorter this week. Just hope we are well this evening. So hello to you. Jim Gemmell is there. Julie Rotherham as well. Let's have a look here.
Aaron Smith.
Yeah, quite a few names in them. Rob Brown playing spotting as well. I see him in there, regular viewer. So hello to you. Clive Everly, as we mentioned. Lynn Keeble. Darren Smith's there. Ian Hartley is there as well. Says good evening, guys. So hello to you. And do keep getting your comments in throughout the evening with your thoughts and views on tonight's topic, which of course is the race for supersonic supremacy. I thought this was going to be quite an interesting topic to talk about. I know many people have made videos and done pretty much anything and everything they can to do it over two planes, which is the Concorde and the Russian version, the TU-144. But why not chuck all three together and see why the Russians and the Americans failed in their attempts to kind of create a supersonic aircraft. So do get your thoughts in. I'll bring up the picture so everyone knows what we're talking about. There we go, all three together. Russian one at the top, the TU-144, Concorde in the middle, and the proposed American Boeing 2707 as well. Ken, immediate thoughts on the topic, and obviously we've both done some research on this. What were your sort of immediate thoughts on this?
Having done a little bit of research on the American one, obviously the Russian one was a disaster. Yeah, that's fine, we know that. But I was a little bit surprised that it was actually going to originally be twice the size, and it's obviously probably its downfall, to be fair. And the fact that we were talking earlier about it, and it was probably 2 years too late. But I do think if that had been actually on schedule, it could have been quite interesting. If they could have got it to fly, because obviously it never did, so we don't know, do we? But it was the environmentalists, I think, that got that cancelled more than anything else. And obviously caused Boeing a lot of problems. But they had the 747 coming on stream, and that kind of saved them, I guess.
I think so. I think we spoke about it off stream, and we sat and said that we both think that Boeing are quite lucky when it comes to sort of still being around because of it, and obviously putting all their eggs into the supersonic basket, and obviously ultimately coming up with a plane that eventually was then not viable to do anything with because of the size of it and the materials involved for supersonic flight. But we'll jump. We'll do a little bit of like singling out of the 2707 a little bit later in the show, but we'll sort of start with where it began. So I think a lot of people sort of know that it all started with trying to the British and the French coming together to design an aircraft that essentially, I think, was designed from the sort of the idea of creating supersonic transport. Now, bearing in mind, flight had only been around for about 50 odd years at this point, so this was kind of like a massive step into the future that was almost deemed a bit ambitious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So ultimately, the British came up with a test plane, which eventually was called the Handley Page HP-115, which you can actually see at the Yeovilton Air Arm Air Fleet
Oh,
Air Arm Museum. Yeah.
Wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was until I've just seen the picture of it, and I looked at it and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've actually seen that. And it turns out I have. So you can actually see that one. I think whether it's a proper one or a mock up, but that plane is actually there to be seen at the museum. And this was essentially designed as a test for the Delta Wing design to see just how well it performed in flight, and it's turned out to be a success because the aircraft would ultimately demonstrate safe control at speeds as low as 69 miles an hour, which was at that time a third of what the F-104 Starfighter could do at low speed. So the Delta Wing was proving to be a bit of a success when it came to sort of wanting to go down the supersonic route. And if you can get low flying for very low speeds, I mean, 69 miles an hour for a plane is not very quick at all.
No.
No, it's really not.
No, not at all.
No. So to be able to kind of successfully do that is pretty cool, I think, and definitely sending the message across the world that we've got the right way of doing it. So it became then that the Delta Wing was then taken and then designed upon to kind of give it a passenger plane configuration, which ultimately led to obviously Concorde being built. I think they only had the one design, which I think was, I mean, a lot of people say that if you take the Vulcan bomber and stretch it, you essentially have Concorde, which I think is probably about right. So you take Vulcan, stretch the wings a little bit, and you essentially have what Concorde became.
Yeah.
And as Jack Rolls points out as well, the fact that the Concorde and the Vulcan both had the same engines, the Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus, which just shows the power of the engines, which I don't think many people do know.
Yeah, but didn't Concorde have the afterburnery stuff and all that?
Mm.
It wasn't exactly this kind of same. It was similar engines, but
similar.
Yeah.
I'll just have a quick nosy through the notes I have and see what they actually had. Where are they in my notes here? It would help if I actually categorize my notes. There we go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so Rolls-Royce Olympus 593 turbojet engines.
Jim's just put in there. Concorde's development of the Olympus, the 593 with afterburners.
Yeah. There you go.
That comment from Rob Brown, Plane Spotting, saying that RAF didn't actually have an aircraft fast enough to catch Concorde, because when they did that photo shoot,
that's right. Yeah,
they had to kind of meet up, didn't they, as opposed to a catch up.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's a very famous picture of a British Airways Concorde at sort of its cruising altitude, and I think the plane that caught, I can't think what the plane was. Somebody will probably say in the chat. The plane that actually managed to catch up with it could not catch up with it for very long because it was burning so much fuel at the same time. So to grab that picture was like a literally go up, catch it, get out of there as soon as you can sort of thing.
No stress on
that.
It
was a very quick, very quick photo shoot. It was literally up, gone. So quite interesting on that front. But not what many people might not know is, despite the fact that Concorde was deemed a little bit of a success, despite the the limited number that were built, it was actually the Russians that successfully introduced or had the first flight of any supersonic aircraft, which of course was their Tupolev TU-144, which took flight on New Year's Eve of 1968. And the Russians were quite proud of this, and they deemed it as sort of, we got there before you sort of thing. And I think Darren Smith said something like that. It was sort of very politically charged in the end, because it was like, we see what you're doing, but we want to get there first, sort of thing. And I think that's what the Russians ended up doing.
It was the middle of the Cold War at the time as well, wasn't it? So yeah, they've always had that. But
yeah. I'll just go back to my comment of the plane that caught up. Ian, of course he would. He know it's a Tornado F3 that managed to catch up, and Jim Gemmell also pointing that out as well, with the infamous Mark II photo by Adrian Meredith in a tornado over the Irish Sea.
Of course, bloody Jim knows that. Known that.
No, Jim, be like a smart ass. But yeah, so the Russians got there first with the first flight. But as we sort of go into the whole thing, personally, for me, and I think a lot of people have the same view, it was very much rushed to get the plane up, because the Russians knew what the Britons and British and French were making, so they kind of took the idea. And if you have, I'll bring the picture back up again, but you can definitely see the two similarities between. I mean, ignore the bottom bit, but you can see the two similarities between Concorde and what would effectively be known as Concordski.
Yeah, because basically they nicked it all, didn't they? They sparked it. Because that TU design is very, very similar. Well, incredibly similar to the prototypes, the first Concorde prototype. It's showing a picture on those, because it does. Certainly, that nose end looks really similar.
Yeah. Also, droop snoot, as they call it, as well. The Russians had that as well. They knew that the British and French were working on a droop snoot, and
did they actually build their first one, the prototype, with the canard thingies, whatever you call it? On
the canards, yeah. I believe that was a thing for the TU-144, was the fact that it had canards to slow it down, as well as a parachute as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
To slow it down. The difference with the wing on the TU-144 is it's not a straight delta. It's almost like a jagged delta sort of wing as well. If you see a picture of it from above or like to the side, you'll see.
Oh yeah.
It's not a straight sort of smooth delta wing. It's just more of a
I don't think the original prototype had the canards, whatever you call them.
Yeah, Darren Smith says no, they came later.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a picture of 71, and it's like, no, they didn't have them on it.
Yeah,
because shame I can't show you the picture, but I've got a head-on picture where they got the canards on, or whatever they're called. It looks like my dog with his floppy ears.
Yeah. Darren Smith and Jim Gemmell both literally adding the same thing, same comment at the same time, saying that the TU-144 handled badly at low speed, so they were added.
So a question basically to Jim and Darren, did that not affect it at high when he was doing supersonic? Surely if it's going to help low speed, it's going to hinder high speed? Or is that just...
Possibly. I mean, the
not an engineer.
The maximum speed it could do was 1,600 miles an hour, which was Mach 2.1, which I think was slightly faster than what Concorde could do. I think I'm just going
to... They retracted into the fuselage. Oh, my God. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the TU-144 was literally slightly quicker than the Concorde by not very much at all. But yeah, the canards were foldable.
Wow.
Yeah, they folded in into the fuselage.
So that was just purely for landing, I guess, was it?
Just to handle better at slow speeds.
Right. Okay.
I think that might have been something that the Russians forgot to sort of go with. They obviously looked at Concorde, and the Russians were, and especially nowadays, or more recently, they're very good at nicking designs and trying to make it their own. But they obviously took the design and didn't really test it themselves and things like that, and were like, we may have forgotten to slow speed it, and then just throw these canards on to kind of help it, steadier in flight, sort of thing.
Because wasn't the hang on? Oh, I'm trying to find the blooming thing now. Oh, it's just because we were talking about that. I've lost. That's better. Right, the original Boeing didn't that have, or did it come later? Canards. Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember that they added them later on, or I think they added them later on in their design, didn't they, to try and stay
the Boeing version?
Yeah, the Boeing one. Yeah,
I don't think it needed it because the Boeing one was a swing wing.
Yeah, but they had to get rid of that though, didn't they? Because
they had to then get rid of the swing wing because it didn't work. So, because it was far too heavy, so they just got rid of the joints and stuff that created it, which were causing so much weight on the plane, especially like we were talking about off air and that the speed of the plane and things like that would all be affected.
They added the canards behind the nose, that added weight. Went to the swept wing. So I think that was going to be the plan on the prototype come production models. But it doesn't mention if they went back. They probably just nicked off the Russians. To be fair, the idea.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I think the Americans took the design, like we were saying, that Concorde was in production at this point. Was well underway at this point, and the Russians were with theirs and trying to make theirs work. And then the Americans thought, well, we'll try and make our own version of a delta wing, that kind of shape, but make it a little bit unique with the swing wing like a tornado. But just no good with trying to literally just come up with something that would help them, because I think a lot of airlines in America were very much interested in it, especially with like Concorde, which had orders from American airlines in America and things like that. But then the Americans announced theirs, and I think TWA were wanting to buy it as well, and I think a couple of I think Qantas at some point probably potentially wanted it as well.
Really,
I think I'm going off of mock-up drawings I've seen. So I'm thinking that it may have been that case, but it's quite interesting when you read it, especially when sort of researching just how much like the TU-144 and the potential American version were very much trying to push Concorde to one side and go, no, we're gonna be able to do it. But then to pretty much sum it up, and Darren Smith with some very good comments this evening, saying that Concorde had super cruise. This made it a winner. Could keep supersonic in the cruise. The TU-144 had to slow down or run out of fuel / explode. So there you go. So I think it's a case of proper, a lot of thought went into Concorde, whereas the Russians thought, I could do that.
Yeah.
And try to make it their own sort of thing.
Yeah, that's as Darren said earlier, there was a lot of politics going on, obviously, and the fact that Concorde was banned from the States or New York specifically, that didn't help, did it?
No, and that will tie in with a bit like the orders and things like that. Once we sort of
all right, I'll wait till you get to that bit. Okay.
Yeah, I always find the orders I always look at it and go, I'd be fascinated to know what would have happened if these actually were fulfilled. and airlines actually received them and stuff, and how that would have changed the landscape of aviation going forward to actually what it is now, sort of thing, rather than all these bans on supersonic over land and things like that, and of course putting airlines off and stuff. Always makes me wonder what would have happened if that had gone through. In regards to testing with Concorde as well, another aircraft that you could see at Yeovilton is the Fairy Delta 2, which was modified to use for test flights for high speed sort of performance, whereas the HP 115, which we spoke about earlier, was more for the low speed performance as well on the Delta wing. And oddly enough, and Yeovilton's fantastic for this, Yeovilton has the second prototype Concorde in the museum, and I don't know the length, but I'm sure someone told me the 7 rings a bell, but it is the shortest Concorde built.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of a kind. It's one of a kind, and I think it's 002. So Concorde 002, I think, was the French built one. I think, or was it the first English one? No, it's the first English one built, I think.
Concorde Yeovilton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure 002 was the first.
Yeah, 002.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 002 was built at Bristol, Filton. Yeah, and I believe that is the British built it, and they built it too short, and it's now in the museum. Yeah.
Was there a cost of living crisis at the time? We would just save a bit of money here.
I remember going into the museum, and somebody, one of the volunteers there, said, "What do you notice about the plane?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's a standard Concorde." To me, he went, "No, it's not. Have a look again." And I thought, it does look a bit shorter. And he went, "That's probably because it is." And I was like, "Wow, is it really?" But then you look at it, and every time I go there now, I look at it and go, "Yeah, do you know what? It is actually a lot shorter than the others."
It's 180
ones at like museums and pictures of like British Airways ones, like Heathrow and stuff, and then compare it to the one at Yeovilton. You can see there's a massive difference.
It's 184 feet, the one at 002 at Yeovilton, and the normal ones are 202.
Yeah.
They've got 18 foot difference. Right, okay.
Yeah, there's a massive difference. And it's the only one that was ever built that is actually shorter than the rest. So out of the 20 that were built, that one is shorter than every single one that was built. And it's really cool to see. Really, really cool to see.
It arrived at Filton in March 1976, so it's been preserved for 46 years.
Yeah. Never flew passengers, only did test runs, and once it was no longer needed, and I think the flying, the sort of the airworthy certificate expired on it, so then they took it to a museum, and it's been there ever since.
I have seen it down there, but when we go down to see Sarah's family, we do actually quite often go that way down to Somerset. And we really must actually take the time to nip in, really, just to have a look at it again.
I've been in there so many times, and I'm always still fascinated by what's there, because it's really cool to get some good pictures and stuff, and to see one of the prototype Concordes. It's all well and good going to Manchester and things like that and seeing a proper passenger one, but to see one of the old prototypes and things like that, I think is a little bit special. So
we've got one. I'm just quickly googling it. We got one at Duxford, AXDN, I think it is. Is that the one? Yeah. And that was one of the. Was that one of the production ones, but it didn't actually go to? It was something like that. It was either a prototype or a production prototype, because they built 20, didn't they, in total?
I think 6. Was it 6 that were non-commercial?
Because you got one at Brooklands. This is one of the ones that never actually went into service. Because I remember when they were going to get it. This is quite a cool story. They were building the M11 at the time.
Okay.
And that was going to reduce the length of the runway at Duxford. So they had to, I remember it, they had to get it in by a certain date. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to land it.
Yeah.
It was like literally skin of the teeth kind of in terms of time, and they got this Concorde in, and obviously they're milking it for all it's worth now, which is fair enough.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's quite cool. Jim Gemmell there with information of
Yeah, that's right.
AXDN is a pre-production version.
Pre-production, yeah, which is quite weird. I can't quite get my head around why they built the prototypes and they did these pre-production ones, and then they built the actual fleet. Why not make the prototypes cover, everything you need?
Mm.
I don't get that.
I was going to say, again, another person obviously throwing a load of information our way is Jim Gemmell. I thought it was the one that was built that was short. Apparently, the first three were built to a shorter length. Easy way to tell is to look at the tail cone. It's shorter.
Oh, okay.
So one to keep an eye on. If you ever go out and see any Concorde sitting around anywhere, just have a look at the tail cones. I know that gets Jack excited. So, but that's neither here or there. I know somebody mentioned as well about the Pepsi coloured Concorde as well. Of course, that was a promotional thing that Air France did, which is a really cool looking plane. But because they painted it, as Darren Smith says, Pepsi could not fly supersonic or it would just burn up.
No, I think it could fly for 20 or 30 minutes or something. I think
the paint would start to melt or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it could actually. I'm sure I read that the other day. They could do that, but it only did that. Was only in that livery for 2 weeks or something, wasn't it? It wasn't very long. It was.
No, not very long at all. I don't think. I think, like I said, it was more of like a promotional.
Yeah, it was sponsorship
sort of thing, which is pretty. It was,
Jim will know all this.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, we're waffling on about Concorde. We're forgetting the other two. That's how easy it is, because it's been so successful in that.
Let's go back to Boeing.
Yeah, we'll give the Boeing 2707 a little bit of attention for now. Boeing went all the way to produce a life-size mock-up model of the Boeing 2707, and that then became a lot of issues then when they managed to do that and think about the weight, as we were talking about earlier, with the sweeping wing and everything else. But on the whole, I mean, we were saying it earlier. This Boeing 2707 was supposed to fly 2 to 3 times more passengers than Concorde. It was longer and bigger than Concorde, and used very different engines to Concorde. So I think the range on it would have been a lot more, if I'm going to refer back here.
Yeah, and it was actually faster by quite a bit, wasn't it?
However, so it was almost Mach 3. Yeah, almost Mach 3.
Also, don't forget, before even that kind of came into being, where they had that competition in America, didn't they?
The competition, of course. Yes.
And Boeing won that. Because Lockheed Martin, I think, was even, they were pretending it was going to be even better, didn't they? Their one.
So there was quite a few entrants. There was the Lockheed with the L2000, which essentially is just
I've now lost
a fancier Concorde sort of thing. And then there was a company called North American who created the NAC 60, which you don't seem to find a lot of info on, but if you manage to find a picture of it, it looks quite smart. Looks very, very smart indeed. And I'll just see if I can throw a picture up here.
Put that Lockheed one up as well, because that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'll just do I'll get this one up here, and I'll find that Lockheed one as well. But the Lockheed one was quite. I thought it was quite cool, that Lockheed L2000. I'm surprised that actually didn't win. It's just trying to.
Politics, Tom. Politics. Remember politics.
Politics, absolutely.
Brown envelopes.
Yeah, that's it. Right, so here we go. So this is what the NAC, or the North American NAC 60 looked like.
Looks like Concorde.
Yeah. To me, it looks like a proper airliner. If you forget sort of the wing and just look at that body and maybe the nose, very much like a proper airliner. But then it is very much like like I said, Delta. Yeah, it's almost like a very big passenger version of the Typhoon. That's the vibes I'm getting off of that. But very nice. Very nice. And then we had the Lockheed L2000, which was also in the competition. This is just a mock drawing. This is not a proper thing because I don't think this ever saw the light of day.
Sorry, Tom, whose was this one?
So this was the L2000.
Oh, the L2000, okay. They didn't actually think they were going to get anywhere, did they? They didn't even bother.
It's the Concorde design. So
and look at the size of the wheels.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. That's, I don't know, some kid in a bedroom doing that. That's rubbish.
It does look like it's from a video game. But
Yeah.
like I said, I don't think there's many images of the L2000 because, like I said, it was only done as a drawing sort of thing. But this was supposed to be the fastest one out of the lot. So it was a lot faster than the 2707 by actually hitting Mach 3 and going the same sort of range as well.
Is that why it's all blurred on that right-hand side picture?
Yeah.
It's going so fast. The Typhoon couldn't keep
that's
up.
It. Yeah, the tornado couldn't catch up with it. Yes, but I mean, it gives you an idea for what it looks like. Again, you can see that sort of that delta wing that's slightly jagged, which of course the Tupolev would take over as well and introduce to theirs.
That is just ridiculous.
So out of the two, I think I prefer this one.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to tell with that one on the stick, but yeah, it's
and side on as well, so you don't get much of a profile.
Yeah, it's kind of quite weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but still quite nice.
Mm.
But yeah, so the competition was made, and of course, ultimately the Boeing 2707 was picked as the winner. And of course, this was then government funded because I'm trying to think of who it was. Was it John F. Kennedy or something?
No,
or way before that or something.
No.
So I think who the president was around the time that the
I'll find out.
Who the heck was it?
Well, we weren't on it since 52 and 58.
No, I tell you what, it is John F. Kennedy.
It is actually, yes, but yeah. It is. Bloody hell, yeah.
So John F. Kennedy basically asked the FAA, tasked the FAA with preparing a report on national aviation goals for the period between sort of 1960 and 1970. And of course, this led to the competition that we just spoke about to find the company that was going to build America's supersonic plane. And of course, they pumped so much money into it that so many problems came in, and it just didn't happen for them in the end. I mean, I hate the design because I think it looks ugly. And I will stand by my comments I made where the Boom Overture, the new, what looked like Concorde to begin with, has now taken that design of the 2707, and I will stand by that, and I don't care if I get hated for it. So that's my view. That's my view.
Kennedy introduced the National Supersonic Transport Program on June the 5th, 1963.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, quite interesting. And what I find amazing about this, and I didn't know this until I researched it, was that there were quite a few orders for the Boeing 2707, and the airlines that ordered it were quite interesting, very interesting indeed. Apparently, there was 26 airlines that wanted this. There's no full list of who ordered it, but notable names were Alitalia, Canadian Pacific Airlines, Delta Airlines, Iberia, KLM, Northwest, and World Airways. I think the likes of Alitalia and Iberia and KLM very interesting. I think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting that those airlines went with the American one rather than try and order like Concorde.
Yeah, but we weren't in the EEC at that point, so obviously. Sorry, the EU for you younger viewers, but originally it was the EEC.
But yeah, no, I think it's quite interesting that they didn't go for that. But at the same time, that to have 122 on order was obviously quite promising for Boeing, because they looked at that and thought, right, we've got ourselves a plane here that 122 compared to the likes of um, I'm not going to do the math here, but rough guess is about, I've got to say it's probably less. Concorde had less, I think, less orders.
Yeah, it did. But no, I thought the Boeing was up to about 200, and I'm sure I read somewhere earlier, they're up to about 250, 260.
Well, for Concorde.
No, for Boeing.
The Boeing one says there are delivery positions reserved for 122.
I read somewhere earlier it was double that. Anyway, yeah, okay, fair enough. Concorde was, reserved, which obviously means nothing. Non-binding options for more than 100. Pan Am, Air France, obviously BAC, Continental, American, TWA, Middle East, Qantas Air, Air India, Japan Airlines, Sabina, Eastern Airlines, United Airlines, Brunei, Lufthansa, Air Canada, SAC or PAC, and Iran Air. And obviously, as we know, they all went by the wayside after the sonic boom props.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, I think we'll definitely explore the Concorde orders, because I think, like I said, I think that for me is the most interesting part of this sort of battle is the orders for the planes. If we're going to talk about like the Tupolev and things like that, no point trying to go through the operators. There was only two or three. There's three operators. One was obviously Aeroflot. And then the others were the Ministry of Aviation Industry of the USSR and NASA.
Yes, good old NASA.
What
the hell is that about?
Nothing quite like being patriotic than going to get a plane from another country to represent your space. Yeah. So it's such a fascinating sort of read up on that. I'm not going to go into it, but anyone who wants to read into it is really cool. Yeah,
I think NASA took it on just to have a look at how they built it. I really do. I can't see any other reason why.
Possibly like a conspiracy type thing. I think let's have a look and see what actually happened here.
Yeah. How much did they really nick?
Now, really interestingly as well, if we're going to go with if we stick with the TU-144, did you know that the Russians were potentially looking to make it a military plane as well?
Wow, were they?
They were indeed. So there were sort of the early configurations of the TU-144 were based on the Tupolev 135 sort of aircraft, which didn't progress further than drawings and things like that. But it was designed to potentially look into becoming a long, they called it a long range heavy interceptor, based on the Tupolev 144, and enabled to escort bombers on long range missions.
Everything daft, weren't they?
Well, that's what they wanted to do. Yeah, that's what they wanted to do, and because the orders for the Tupolev 144 were not going down well, and they weren't getting all what Tupolev were hoping for. The one last kick to try and get it ordered was a military version called the TU-144MR, which was a project for a long-range reconnaissance aircraft for the Soviet Navy, intended to provide targeting information to the Navy's ships and submarines on sea and oceanic theatres of operation.
They just talk rubbish, don't they? It's all just propaganda nonsense.
Yeah. And I think the most interesting bit is that they proposed a Navy version which was supposed to have strike capability of air-to-surface cruise missiles.
And land on carriers.
Not quite. Not quite. But yeah, this was apparently they looked into that because they wanted to look into what Lockheed were doing at the time, which was they had a plane called the Lockheed D-21, which was an American supersonic reconnaissance drone. So they looked into that and thought, well, we'll turn one of our Concorde skis into a striker jet and have it carry air to ground missiles and things like that. Could
Right,
you
top
imagine
off.
Concorde in that? Like Concorde, oh yeah, the RAF turn around and go, yeah, we're attaching our Concordes with ballistic missiles, and
Yeah.
we can
So
get to anywhere in 2 hours.
we are talking about a plane that actually only made 55 flights with passengers on.
Yeah,
There was 16 of them, so that each aeroplane did 3.4375 flights each, allegedly. Yeah, it's just nonsense. They first used it to transport mail, for God's sake.
yeah.
It was
And where
never
do they go to?
serious.
They go to another,
And they crashed it. They crashed it at a major air show in Paris in 1973. This was never a serious aeroplane, was it? Surely not.
Well, considering it only flew within Russia and didn't actually go any further, apart from Paris, and that's, for those that know, obviously we all know what happened at Paris, but yeah, it was. I think personally, it was rushed because of what Britain and France were doing. I think it was just completely rushed.
And also, it was Nick technology. They were never going to make it work anyway because they didn't actually understand the whole concept. If you nick something,
I think it was literally a case of we'll take their design and we'll just do what we can with it and try and make it our own. Hence the canards being added, because they obviously never tested it with low speed, and they obviously wanted to do a bloody military version.
Actually, that's a very good point, Jim. Yeah, the two Concordes that have crashed, Concorde ski and obviously Concorde, yeah, they were very, very both
weren't far apart in distance. Yeah, that is very true. We're not going to go into the sensitive subject, especially the Concorde one. We're going to leave that well alone.
Okay, boss.
But yeah, I think the Russian one looks. I think it looks nice. I think it's a really cool design, even though it looks like Concorde and stuff. But it was, I think, doomed to fail. As soon as they announced that they were doing it, I think it was just doomed to fail. And Jack rolls with arguably the comment of the night already. You break a brick, it's still a brick. Don't polish a fart, it will still be a fart. And then Serena correcting him with, no, Jack, you can polish a turd, it's still a turd. It's not quite, Jack, unlucky. But yeah, so hardly any operators for the TU-144. There's a really I'm going to see if I can find it actually, because there's a really fascinating video of the. I think it was at a Russian air show or something. Anyway, I'm not going to ruin it, but when you see it, you'll think, right, okay, now you can see why it didn't particularly work. Apparently, I think it was also notoriously known for its hard landings. Well, I might be wrong. If I can just. Right, Gen's going to disappear very quickly. But I'll play the video, which I'll share on the screen. There we go. In fact, I'm not going to share it just yet. I'm going to wait until Ken's back so we can see it. But we'll go through some comments while we are here. So Jim Gemmell saying, you can polish. Yes, you can polish a shit ski. It's still a shit ski. Very good. Lots of you with swear words here. You can tell it's not a normal Sunday evening show with lots of swears. Jack Rolls loves the t-shirt. Indeed. Got this. There you go. I don't know if you can see it. Cornwall Aviation Heritage Museum or Centre, with a few of their exhibits on the t-shirt there. If you haven't been and you visit Cornwall, very good to go to. Very, very good indeed. MaxJet TV Live Express, have you found your glasses yet? No, I haven't, because I've given up looking for them because the damn things have disappeared. Rob Brown, plane spotting. Suppose you could say the backfire bombers is the love child of Concorde. Russians know how to build planes that go like stink. Very true. Very true indeed. Paul Hussey, good evening to you, says, was fortunate enough to fly on an Air France Concorde charter from Manchester to Paris in 1993, reaching Mark II over the North Sea. Would love to know the experience and what you thought about it. Jim Gemmell, going back with just as Ken comes back, Jim Gemmell says NASA would have used Concorde, obviously, but none were available to use. They had to completely rebuild it, which is very true. The British Airways Airbus A380 from Frankfurt, kid, I think I know who's behind that.
Is that Max again?
Probably Max. It's alter ego. Lovely BA 747 on the wall, Tom. Yes, it's a massive canvas. There you go. There it is. And of course, that one is the one that had the cockpit taken out and taken to Barton up at Manchester. Fun fact for anybody that knows it, BYGA is the registration on this picture, and the same.
I might be being a bit controversial, but I don't understand why they've done that. Why
just an educational centre sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, but why not take like the top and the bottom deck? Do you know what I mean? I didn't think.
I've read they're supposed to make it into like a flight simulator.
Oh, okay.
As well as an experience type thing. But yeah, without actually properly reading. Jim Gemmell, he's bloody on here with 3 profiles, I think. I think he is. He's old Max. He's got so many profiles. I'm trying to keep up with him.
Yeah.
Jack Rolls says, the fact that it took a lot less time to places like New York just shows Concorde broke records, and it did. And it actually, if I'm correct, it broke another record actually doing a cross-country flight in America. I think it's from New York to Seattle, where one of them was actually being preserved. And I think it took something like 3 hours.
Jim will know this. Also, why the hell was it in Seattle? After the Americans basically were trying to stitch up the Concorde project. I have no understanding why there's one in Seattle. Literally miles away from their failed thingy. Sorry, I don't want to be controversial.
Yeah.
It really annoys me. Why is it in Seattle?
The Americans didn't want it to land there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Americans put up so much protest.
Greedy. They wanted to show the world how, we wanted to show the world that, that's how you build a supersonic airliner and run it in their faces.
There's that bit, but it still annoys me.
Yeah. Well, quickly going back to, I'll show the video shortly. But some of the records that Concorde had is quite incredible. So the fastest transatlantic airliner flight was from New York to London on the 7th of February in 1996 by British Airways Concorde Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Delta, which took 2 hours, 52 minutes and 59 seconds from takeoff to touchdown.
And then it took another 5 hours getting through
customs. But apparently this was aided by a 175 mile an hour tailwind. So as if you needed any more speed added to it.
It's like that 747 I think it was just before COVID that broke the record for a subsonic aircraft. I can't remember which one it is. I think it was CIVC, I think it was.
747 did it.
Yeah,
747 did it. And was it Norwegian that had it before the 747?
It was the same day, wasn't it? It was all exactly the same day. There was loads of them, really.
There was a Norwegian 787 that did it quite quickly from New York to Gatwick, but I don't know if that would count it, or whether that was before the 747 or whether that was afterwards, because I don't know if that record was broken. I don't think the record's broken yet, is it?
No,
I'm convinced it's not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the 747. There was 2 or 3, actually maybe 3 that day that were breaking records, and the last one, which was the 747, I think won it.
But to do that is quite astonishing. In 2 hours. That's like not even that's like my drive today from London to literally Exeter, and it would get to New York.
Well, Tom, I was there on that last day in October when the 3 came in.
So was I. I was a child, but I was there.
Yeah, and I remember driving home around the M25 thinking, blimey, we've just gone backwards as civilization. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Okay, I'd never be able to afford to fly to New York on Concorde, but just the fact that there was that thing there that you could do it in 3 hours, 3.5 hours, whatever the normal time was, and now it's going to take you 6, 7 hours. It just seemed such a backward step. It was so sad. I thought humanity was always about like progressing and making steps forward, and we actually took a massive step back now at that point. It was incredible. And it was
Too ahead of its time, Concorde. And I'll always say that. Too ahead of its time. Quick hello to Transatlantic Alison, who always pops in from wherever in the world she is. She says, hi, everyone. Better late than never. Just got home from The Sims. She's been doing some sim work today. So hello to you. Thank you for joining us. So,
Aaron Smith, BA replaced Concorde with an A380 from LCY. Absolutely. How sad is that? Honestly.
Yeah, a total step back. And now the A318 is no longer in service.
Yeah, that's been good now. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't quite work, but we'll see. See what the future holds, and pretty much go from there. So, more of the records that Concorde had. It's going to be quite astonishing. So, you had the transatlantic crossing in 2 hours and 52 minutes. On 13th of February 1985, a Concorde charter flew from London to Sydney on the opposite side of the world in a time of 17 hours, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. That's including refueling stops.
And how many was that? 2 refuels, I guess, or 3?
From what I could find, I couldn't actually see where it was stopping, but the opposite side of the world. So that would have gone across America, Honolulu, etc., from London.
Or did it not go?
And gone the opposite way to what Qantas do now, where they go towards that Hong Kong way sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
So the opposite side of the world. That's including fuel stops. You imagine like the Dreamliners now do that in 16 hours. That's non-stop, but with fueling stops, it's only an hour longer. It is quite incredible. Concorde also set other records, including the FAI, which is the world governing body for air sports, westbound around the world and eastbound around the world, world airspeed records. Back in October 1992, in commemoration of the 500th anniversary of Columbus's first New World landing, Concorde Spirit Tours chartered an Air France Concorde, which had the registration of Foxtrot Bravo Tango Sierra Delta, and it circumnavigated the world in 32 hours, 49 minutes and 3 seconds from Lisbon.
I've got a better one than that, Tom.
Okay.
On the 8th of November 1986, one of the BA Concordes flew 28,234 miles around the world in 29 hours, 59 minutes.
Oof.
Not 40 days, is it? Or 80 days, whatever Phileas Fogg did.
Yeah.
There's been a great comment. Where's it gone? Just it's disappeared. It was something from Jim. Oh yeah, an Air France Concorde apparently even landed at St. Martin. How mad would that have been?
That would have been insane.
You imagine all those people on that beach. They're all when it's taking off. They'd all be like the next island away, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Forget Jet Blast. I mean,
it's just
crazy to even think about. The one I mentioned from Air France, 32 hours, 49 minutes and 3 seconds, was from Lisbon, and it included 6 refueling stops at Santo Domingo, Acapulco, Honolulu, Guam, Bangkok, and Bahrain. The eastbound record was set by the same Air France Concorde under charter to Concorde Spirit Tours in the US on the 15th to 16th of August 1995. This promotional flight circumnavigated the world from New York in 31 hours, 27 minutes, 49 seconds, including 6 refueling stops at Toulouse, Dubai, Bangkok, Guam, Honolulu, and Acapulco.
Do you reckon it was like Formula One where they were like ready So when it comes in, like quick, get the
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
guns
Yeah.
ready and everything to kind of change the
go,
tires.
go.
Yeah. Refueling it up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Crazy. Some other records we got. There's the one I mentioned earlier, or at least it says by its 30th anniversary, or the 30th flight anniversary on March the 2nd, 1999, Concorde had clocked up 920,000 flight hours, with more than 600,000 supersonic hours, many more than all the other supersonic aircraft in the Western world combined.
Mm.
So,
Also, here's a fun fact as well. Concorde wasn't just used to carry passengers. It used to be used, well, on occasions, to transport diamonds
mhm.
and human organs.
Mm.
So go Concorde.
Pretty much.
Saving lives.
The one I mentioned earlier about the New York to Seattle, obviously, and then we spoke about why it was going there. On its way to the Museum of Flight in November 2003, Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Golf set a New York City to Seattle speed record of 3 hours, 55 minutes and 12 seconds. Due to the restrictions on supersonic overflights within the US, the flight was granted permission by the Canadian authorities for the majority of the journey to be flown supersonically over
go Canada.
populated Canadian territory.
Yeah, just fly.
Canadians went, yeah, go on, rip it, son. Let's go.
Rip it up. Come on. Yay.
Let's have it. So Concorde set many, and of course it's had a few fly
actually,
past.
Tom, what they should have done, right? Zipped it over Canada and go, do you know what? You can't have it. We're taking it back
Yeah.
home.
Canada let us do supersonic.
This is what you could have had.
Yeah, the Canadians can have it because they let us go supersonic.
Yeah, put it to Montreal or somewhere.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
It would have been ideal probably because of the French-speaking Canadians and things like that.
Yes, Montreal would have been perfect, wouldn't it?
It would have been perfect. Yeah, it would have been perfect for an Air France one to go there, but it was not to be. So going from the positive of Concorde to the slightly negative of the hard landing of the TU-144, as I mentioned earlier.
That so looks like my dog, I'm telling you. I did want to call him Concorde when we got him. He does. He's got a long snout. He's got floppy ears. That's my dog.
Yeah, you can see the canards there to help it with slower speeds. But I've seen this video so many times. Just watch the bounce. That's all I'm going to say. Watch the bounce. I'm not going to put the sound on, but watch the bounce. About 3 times it bounced.
Is it a kangaroo?
And of course, the parachute at the end to help it slow down.
So when they deploy this parachute thing, presumably you've got to kind of obviously get it back in, haven't you? That must take ages.
It probably does.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Jim Gamble, Ryanair pilot in training.
Actually, to be fair, when we've been doing the streams, we haven't been out for a while, but when we were doing streams, Ryanair, since COVID, have seemed to be got a lot better.
Yeah, I think they're getting the quality known for their smooth landings now.
Yeah. Very odd. Very odd.
Let's see if I can find... do you know what? There is a video. There is a video of it landing at St. Martin.
Oh, really?
There actually is, yeah.
And then can we see the takeoff, please? I want to see all these people. They've been blown into the sea.
I'm not entirely sure there's a video of takeoff, but there is... Yeah, 1989 this was. Marvel in its wonder. So full credit. Yeah, full credit to the guy who sent the video. There you go, 16th of December, 1989, if you needed any more proof. Here, I'll put the sound on and see if it comes. I won't put the sound on, it's a bit loud on my end. In fact, no, we'll go for it. If it's loud, you're in.
Go for the sound.
We'll go with the sound.
This is like one of those UFO things.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh là là, ya está. Oh, regarde comme il est beau. Oh, regarde comme il est magnifique, ça. Oh là là.
Oh my God, look at the crowd.
Yeah.
And Jim's just saying this was carrying the French president there.
The noise. Amazing.
Good old VHS-C video camcorder there.
Utterly brilliant. Yeah. I mean, good God, just imagine seeing that, especially at that kind of airport as well. That is quite.
But when it took off, they must surely have sent someone around to the beach and said, look, you can't stand here. Because there would have been deaths. Must have been.
You'd have thought so. You'd have thought so. I'm having a look to see. You've got landings. I can't find
please
takeoff.
find the takeoff.
Yeah, probably because you weren't allowed to film it.
Into the sea.
Yeah. Everything just disappears. Yeah, that's the full video.
Yeah,
Especially
go
Air
for
Force
it,
One
mate.
landing.
Go for it. Find the video of departure. There must be one. There must be.
Oh, at the end of it, there's Air Force One, which was a 707 landing at there as well. Can't find the takeoff though.
If anybody,
But it's all right because I can more than make up for that with.
Actually, the 707 would be quite interesting as well. To be fair.
Right, what's this here? This is a. There you go. This is back in the glory days. I'll put the sound on as well because you'll obviously want to hear it. It's not Concorde, obviously. This is before Concorde took off. But yeah, two of my favourite things: a GE 97 777 and the Landor livery together. What I'd give to see that again. This is from Heathrow up at Myrtle Avenue. I think.
No, I don't think it is.
Well, it might be further back from that. But it definitely is 09. Yeah, definitely is 09. And now you can hear it.
I was there for the very last VA development to New York. Ended. I'm pretty sure the memory's going to be hazy, but I'm pretty sure it was on 09 right, and we were at Myrtle, and it was unreal because it was getting slightly dark because it was October, and the afterburn was just.
Was that the last takeoff?
Yeah, the last takeoff for New York. Yeah,
I stood in my back garden where I lived in Feltham, which was right underneath the flight path for it. Perfect for any plane spotters. I was obviously too young at that point, but Concorde was always one of those ones where you could be sat watching TV. You could have your TV on at a decent sound, and you'd know it was coming, and you'd stop what you did, and you'd go outside and wait for it to go over. And I will hold my hands up and say this: when the last takeoff that we knew we were going to see of a passenger flight went over the house, slightly dark. You could see the afterburners.
It was slightly dark, wasn't it? Again,
Yeah,
I'm not...
me and my dad, we stood outside, bottom of the garden, watched it go over, and we sat there and cried because we knew we were witnessing the last ever.
Tom, can I just read you a quote from that very, very last outbound New York, right?
Go for it.
This is so cool, right? It was at 1920, so yes, it was getting dark and dusk on 23rd of October. And if you're on the scanner, all you heard was 3, 2, 1 now, right? And that was the moment Adrian Thompson, the captain, smacked back the old throttles and off it went. But a few minutes earlier, what he said over the radio, and anybody that was there might remember this if they were listening. I would like to thank you all, ATC, all the fans at the end of the runway on their airbound radios, and to some of the media who have supported this aeroplane over the years. I would like to dedicate this last 001 takeoff to you. But I can say that if this magnificent machine was alive, it would be crying tonight. So ATC responded, well, thanks for that. And we're all sorry up here as well. It was an unbelievable night that night.
Yeah.
Because that was the end, wasn't it? For us at Heathrow. Coming back was a bit different, but that bit was wow.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where you knew you were witnessing for the last time something truly special. And yeah, like I said, as a kid and being very much into aviation because of my dad, we both literally cried because we were going to miss it so much, because it was just a staple of what we knew since I was growing up, and I think I was 11 at the time. So, you know, I didn't get round to taking proper pictures or, you know, video footage or anything else like that. I just used my eyes and just watched it go over. And it was going over so loud and low and things like that you just knew you were never going to get that experience ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely.
Also, at that time, Heathrow, there wasn't a lot of perimeter fencing, was there? Well, I don't know if you remember this, but
there was, but not as much from what I remember.
I remember parking up when the last one went to Bristol a couple of weeks later after the end. Yeah, well, whenever it was, it went. We parked up. I think it went off 27 right, and we just literally parked up on the verge, right, which is now got, you know, where they've got the that thing that runs to Terminal 5. I can't think they play.
Oh yes, yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, because they didn't have the extra road, you just parked up on the verge and you just went and watched it. I think I must have videoed it because at the time I was into video. But can I find any footage? Can I find any footage of the last day? No. But I definitely did. But anyway,
it's
so
one
you
of those.
could literally park up around Heathrow anywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those you sort of remember where you were, and I think I skipped school on the day of the last arrivals, just purely for it. And I was like, I'm not going to school and missing out on this sort of thing. And I managed to persuade, I think one of my friend's mum and dad. I think I was like, look, my mum and dad are at work. I need to, I want to go and see these. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. So I actually went to go and see it. They dropped me off and went and saw it and stuff. And the sheer amount of people that were there for the last 3 landings was insane. Like you'd never see that again. Never, not even for like the 380 that turned up on the first time for the first time. It was nowhere near that level.
You kind of thought when those 2 last 747s went out, it might be busy, but it was nothing like it at all, was it?
No, and
ones went out that day, but nowhere near
that. Like Northern Perimeter Road and stuff was essentially shut for the duration because it was just just. I've never seen so many people just turn up for that.
I literally cannot remember where. I think I was probably somewhere near the Renaissance. I remember some sort of like grandstand as well. I might have just dreamt, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there was some sort of grandstand going on, and it was just people everywhere.
Yeah,
Because
just
at the time, being
trading.
a capitalist, I was making quite a bit of money out of doing silly little magnets and bookmarks and drawings. Anyway, we won't go to that.
Yeah, no,
Across the week.
I would love to see it come back, even if like very briefly, but I don't think it ever will, unfortunately. And of course, we only have to wait for the new the new boom.
Tom,
phase.
look, transatlantic Allison actually saw the last takeoff from New York. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Amazing.
Wow.
ATC were the same then; they were gutted it was ending, because of course when it took off from New York, you had to bank out immediately to avoid the city as well, didn't it?
All that nonsense, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually as soon as you got up, it banked immediately away from the city because it wasn't allowed to fly over it. So,
actually, Jim's just mentioned that the last flight on the 26th of November, we were at Heathrow getting that going, and we were actually wondering if we could actually, because it didn't go direct to Bristol, it did a little bit of fly around. We were trying to work out, can we beat it to Bristol from Heathrow? And they just introduced some speed cameras on the M4, and we thought, this could be a bit tricky. Otherwise, yeah, we'd have gone for it.
Yeah. Wouldn't have liked your chances trying to beat Concorde down at Bristol.
No, but it didn't just go straight to Bristol. It didn't. It went somewhere else, and then came. It probably Bay of Biscay.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It did something. It didn't just go straight to Bristol. Otherwise, yeah, no chance. But we were weighing it up. Jim will know. Jim will tell us in a minute.
Yeah. Well, things we've spoken about the sort of the very somber moments of it. We'll talk about what could have been when we sort of talk about the orders that came in for Concorde. Now, you sort of ran down them earlier, and each one, like to me, very, very fascinating. I think Pan Am were the first ones to put order in. They put an order in for 6 with an option of 2 extra.
That was the same day as
Air France and Boeing. Yeah, which both had 2 extra.
So I just seen
You know what? Probably would. Even my slow A330 would beat you to Bristol.
But not if you went by the Bay of Biscay or wherever the Concorde went. It didn't just go straight to Bristol.
Yeah. There you go. It's a little challenge for you. See if you can beat beat Allison and her 330 even doing the same route there. But yeah, so Pan Am were the first original orders of the Concorde, followed of course by Air France Bark on the same day. This was in June 1963. Continental had orders of 3 placed in July 1963. American Airlines had 4 on order from October. TWA had 4 on order from October as well. 2 extra options. Middle East Airlines from Lebanon had an order of 2 from December. Qantas ordered 6 of them from March 1964, which I thought would have been quite interesting. Air India ordered 2. Japan Airlines ordered 3. Sabina of Belgium, they ordered 2. Eastern Airlines of the USA, they ordered 2. United Airlines ordered 6. Braniff ordered 3 after they had a trial run with Concorde. I think they leased one from British Airways and painted half the plane, or maybe both sides of the plane, in their colours, but still obviously operated under British Airways registration. Lufthansa ordered 3. Air Canada ordered 4. The Civil Aviation Administration of China ordered 2. And of course, Iran Air were the last orderers of the Concorde with 2 as well. And of course, all cancelled within 7 years of each other. So Pan Am,
Iran didn't cancel until February 1980. How weird is that?
Yeah, Pan Am cancelled theirs on the 31st of January 1973, and then Iran Air, the last ones to cancel on February of 1980. So there's a long-standing order for that, but never fulfilled. So I always sort of imagine what would I've seen what they would have potentially done with them. Like Iran Air would have flown to London and to New York with it. I suppose the question really, Ken, is how do you think it would have gone had these airlines been, had these airlines actually taken delivery of them?
Obviously, kind of the demise of Concorde was all about, well, before it actually really got going with the environmentalists and the sonic booms and blah, 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 blah. I get that. If these had gone ahead, I think it'd been a completely different story. I really do. I think, yeah, obviously flying across land was a bit of a problem. Obviously, I think as we said earlier, I don't know if you mentioned it on here or before we started, there was a $12 million payout by Boeing when they did a test over America, going supersonic, with people having windows cracked and plaster cracked and all that. It wasn't that horrendous, but $12 million.
It was enough, enough to kind of
that kind of pretty much ruined Boeing's chances of doing it. So yeah, I think obviously oversea the thing is great. Overland, obviously there's problems. Not quite sure why, when all these people are ordering it, they didn't know this. Because I'm kind of thinking they should be a bit more intelligent than us, if you know what I mean. So why order a plane that might actually be causing lots of damage to everybody that your flight pass goes over? But anyway, Concorde wasn't the first supersonic plane, was it? There was jet fighters, supersonic thing. Sonic boom was not a new thing.
Yeah. So the airlines ordered it before these tests were made.
No. But there were supersonic planes before Concorde, jet fighters. Were there?
True.
Yeah. Sonic boom was known about. So why did all these airlines think that this sonic boom would not affect people? Blah, 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 whatever. But that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like,
yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They're looking at the commercial thinking, and get people there faster. And looking at all those airlines, I get Continental, American, TWA, because Eastern, United, Braniff, they're all coming over the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
You can ramp it up, bang. Lufthansa, presuming Air Canada. But what I don't get is kind of Qantas, Air India, Japan, unless Japan were thinking of like linking up to LAX or San Francisco. And then you look at then flipping it over, you think, actually, why didn't Japan Airlines go, actually, we can still do this, we're just going to fly over the Pacific?
Yeah.
So it'd be really, really interesting to find out why these people actually cancelled. Iran Air, I don't get at all, because there's too much land everywhere from Iran. But yeah, most of those on Middle East Airlines, no. Air India, no. But Japan, the American Airlines, Sabina, Brazil?
Belgium,
sorry. Close. But again, transatlantic, get that. But there's a few on there I don't get. And also, on the flip side, I don't understand why some of those cancelled it. It just doesn't seem... That's got to be media or environmentalist pressure where it doesn't actually need to be. Do you know what I mean?
Well, luckily...
Fly over the Atlantic, for God's sake. So bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, luckily, I've found a little article that explains why the airlines ordered the Concorde.
Oh, go on.
Which I'm now going to bore you with.
Does it say why they cancelled as well?
It does. It does indeed.
This is what we want.
It does indeed. Right, okay, so we'll start off with the most unusual one, which was Iran Air. So Iran Air was the closest to becoming the third operator of Concorde, having placed a firm order of 2 aircraft for a further option of 1. These orders were placed in October 1972, as we said, amid close ties between the two countries of, I think, probably Iran and France, I think. Several other deals between the countries were placed at the time, and the pilots would travel to France for Concorde training. So that's how close they were to actually operating Concorde, Iran Air, was the fact that they sent pilots over to France to actually learn how to fly it. In 1978, the same year that the first aircraft was due to be delivered, Iran had a change of power. Relationships with the West changed, and the order was viewed as a sign of opulence from the previous Shah. So it was basically a change of mind and almost like a
And politics.
bowing down to the West sort of thing. The orders were cancelled in 1980 with the oil crisis at the time the final straw. The aircraft were moved over to British Airways. The Concorde dream was not dead, though, for Iran. It did later charter Concorde on a wet lease deal from Air France for flights between Paris and Tehran and Kish Island. So essentially, the oil crisis killed the order.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, because there was with Iran, obviously the regime change, and then forgot about the oil crisis, but that was Well, when they cancelled February 1980, the oil crisis was long gone. That was when they ordered. Actually, the oil crisis happened just after they ordered it. It was 73, 74. So while what I'm seeing on the screen at the moment, where they cancelled it in February 1980, that's down to regime change, not
it's quite. I mean, like I said, I've had a brief look through some of the airlines and why the orders didn't go through. There's some fascinating stuff here. So next one is Qantas, who had strong ambitions for supersonic flights. It placed options for both the Concorde and the Boeing 2707. 1973, Qantas dropped its Concorde options, as well as the general problems with supersonic flight faced by all airlines. Qantas had more specific issues. It planned to operate Concorde from Sydney to London via Singapore, but with only 4 aircraft, the frequency would be much lower than other services. Would passengers pay a high premium just for a faster service when it was less frequent and less luxurious than the other options? There was also concern whether Concorde could even operate non-stop to Singapore, being right at the edge of its 4,000-mile range. And of course, this then led Qantas to pick the 747 over Concorde.
Hang on, because when they did that, BA did that joint thing with Singapore Airlines, didn't it stop off for somewhere in Bahrain for refuel or something?
I think so.
Because that's when it kind of changed it was BA to Bahrain or whatever it was, and then it was Singapore onwards. It was Singapore Cruise, I think, or certainly Singapore Startup. Hang on. Put a video up. I'll just read my article I wrote about it. I'll try and remember. But yeah, it definitely did not go non-stop to Singapore. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
I'll see if I can find a video here of the Russian one on takeoff, of which, I think there is. I think that is. Whether that's... Let me just have a look here. Hang on. All right. So there's a bit of chat over this one, but we'll go for it. So we've seen Concorde take off and everything, so we're going to be sort of looking now, just while Ken finds the article he's talking about.
Just a little bit of info, yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a look at what the TU-144 was like when it took off as well. There's a little bit of chat over it, but we'll have a look.
Wanted to do. The airplane, unlike the Concorde, has canard surfaces that pivot out to allow it to fly at a slower speed on takeoff and landing. And when the nose is drooped and the canards are out, there's a lot of vibration and a lot of noise in the cockpit. Surprising amount. The first impression once in the air was that the control forces are very heavy. I'm told that Russians like to build, even the fighters have very heavy stick forces. It certainly was the case with the one.
There you go.
Got it.
Go for it.
Right, okay. The Singapore thingy, basically, it was an extension from the Bahrain flight to Singapore. It shipped on 24th of January 1979. Same time, or around that time, the Chinese CAAC and Iran Air cancelled their sales. options orders, and it was decided all unsold aircraft engines went to BA and Air France. Anyway, so BA Singapore service finished due to low loadings in October 1980. So what they were doing, they were flying to Bahrain, and then they would swap crews, and it would be because one side of BOAD was painted in Singapore Airlines livery, and the other side was BA, and that's kind of, and they would use the crew from Bahrain to Singapore Airlines crew, and from Bahrain back to Heathrow would be BA. I think that's Jim will put. I just said that.
It's quite. It is quite interesting.
My memory's not quite going yet, thank God.
No. One of the original launch customers for Concorde, Pan Am, the reason why they ordered it, there was a keen interest in supersonic flight in the US. All the leading US airlines at the time placed options for Concorde. This is despite US manufacturer Boeing having its separate 2707 program, although several airlines also ordered this. This apparently caused some concern in the US. President Kennedy said of the Pan Am order, "This order involves hundreds of millions of dollars in balance of payments, which is going to sabotage a program to put the United States up in the lead in the 70s.
Hang on. Wasn't... Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Because Kennedy was obviously shot not soon after all this, was he? If
something like, I think so.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So Pan Am placed options for 6 aircraft, 3 from Aerospatiale and 3 from BAC. So they were going to operate half and half of the British and French variants. It went on to place 2 more options, one from each manufacturer in 1966. It cancelled all its options in January 1973. Its main problem was with the economics of operating Concorde. The increasing cost of the aircraft, coupled with the rising oil prices, left it uncomfortable about the fares it would have to charge. The cancellation from one of the launch customers and a major US airline was not good news for the program. Manufacturers knew this and tried hard to persuade Pan Am to stick with Concorde. In the months following Pan Am's order cancellation, all other US-based airlines cancelled their options. This included Continental, American, TWA, and Braniff. United Airlines and Air Canada had already cancelled. So it then created a domino effect. It's almost like if Pan Am if Pan Am couldn't put their trust in the plane, why should we?
Do you reckon that's what it was?
Well, as it sort of says, once Pan Am cancelled their order, the rest of the American major airlines followed suit.
But you kind of think one of them might have had the kahunas to go, do you know what, let's do something different.
Well, I mean, you one of them possibly, but then I suppose rising oil prices and things like that back then would have.
I think, because obviously when this was 73, 74, and there was obviously a bit of an oil crisis going on, and that's if you look at that list of all those people that were cancelling, that had, was it 63, 64 when they were all? I've lost the list now. Let me just quickly find the list again, because it was something like No, I can't find it. But that was around the early mid 60s. They're all like pledging we're going to have this, and then it gets to kind of the point where these planes might become available, and we're in the middle of a worldwide fuel crisis, and you've got obviously all the environmental people going, you can't do this, it's going to cost you billions and billions because you're going to be breaking everybody's window. Have you got a fly in the room there, Tom?
No, I'm just closing my curtains. I'm just closing my curtains.
Oh, you should have done it beforehand, mate.
Didn't think about it. That's what I didn't think about it. Didn't have time. It could have been that. It could have been the tests that were run as well that we spoke about, the sonic boom tests, and obviously that putting off airlines as well with the damage that was caused as well. But I think mainly to do with the oil price rise as well. That's exactly, that's.
I think the oil crisis probably had more to do with it than the environmentalists, really.
I think so. Braniff International Airways. They flew domestically as well as within the Americas and to Europe and Asia, and then ceased operation in 1982 amidst rising oil prices and growing competition after the deregulation in the US. The airline placed options for 3 Concordes, as we mentioned earlier in 1966, but cancelled them as well. It did, however, go on to operate Concorde domestically in the US, the only airline ever to do so.
That's actually quite weird, wasn't it? Because they couldn't fly supersonic. So they just think, okay, what we need to promote our airline is a nice pointy-nosed aircraft that fly from bloody wherever it is. Jim's for that, Washington to Dallas. You know what I mean? That was just purely marketing stuff, wasn't it? It's just
essentially. Essentially.
It was. I'm just looking at my list here that I did in the magazine. I'll just go for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Jim will correct me if I'm wrong. About 9 of them actually kind of had dual registration, so they could do this nonsense. It's just like,
so Jim put it there. He says when the BA Braniff London, Washington to Dallas Fort Worth service was operating, the Concordes used carried US registrations between Washington and Dallas. For example, Golf Bravo Oscar Alpha Foxtrot became November 9-4 Alpha Foxtrot.
Yeah, it's mad.
Rather interesting. Yeah, quite a weird one.
That was purely marketing, because there was no way they were going to be particularly any quicker, surely. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, oh, look at us, we got a Concorde.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting with Braniff is that even though they cancelled the Concorde 6 years later, and 3 years before they ceased operations, the airline was expanding and wanted to return to the idea of operating Concorde. The solution was the interchange arrangement with British Airways and Air France, which of course is what Jim mentioned, with Braniff operating Concorde domestically between Dallas and Washington, with British Airways or Air France crews operating the transatlantic sector.
Actually, what would be quite interesting to know, I don't think I actually, when I did my article, I actually looked into this, but how long was the, when it arrived at Washington before it departed down to Fort Worth or wherever it was? That'd be quite, because you could actually say, it was flying direct to Fort Worth-ish. Or was it like, it's parked up, everybody off, bang, new flight? I'm sure Jim will know this.
Yeah. It's
yes, it's an extension.
It's very impressive what Braniff managed to do with Concorde, to be able to kind of team up and manage to get this sort of to operate it domestically and be the only airline that managed to do it. Even if they never owned it completely, they still managed in their own way to So it's very interesting how Braniff managed to kind of operate it without actually owning it, sort of thing. One of the more interesting undertakings for ordering of Concorde was the Civil Aviation Administration of China, the CAAC, which held out to February 1980 to cancel its order for Concorde. The deal was sort of revealed in detail in a 2018 article in Asia Times, where Chinese aviation at the time was very limited, and the country was looking to introduce more long-haul and international routes. And what they saw was that Concorde would have served premium routes whilst also acting as a VIP transport for Chinese leaders. Officials were apparently impressed with the design and the aerodynamics of the aircraft. And according to Asia Times, political and economic troubles finished off Concorde ambitions because the CAAC was unable to make down payments to convert options to orders and then cancelled the options in 1980.
Wow. That was a long time to wait, wasn't it?
They held out for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. Held out for a very long time to cancel it. So they must have thought that maybe one day they would have been able to pay for it. But then, like I say, the political side of it then came in. And
do you reckon if Concorde happens, let's say, 20 years later, do you reckon it had a different outcome? When there's a lot more money about, so we're talking like starting in the 80s. I think it might have been a bit different.
I mean, it did well enough to last. What was it? 33 years, something like that. Like 1969 first flight came into service.
You got to look at service. So what was it? 76, 77. But I just wonder if it's maybe 20 years. So maybe it was 96, 97. I think it'd be different, absolutely different.
I mean, possibly.
A lot more money about
this. I mean, if you think about it, the 80s. If it came in the 80s or things like that, you had
loads of money era. Yeah,
loads of money. Yeah, you had like the likes of the TriStar. That was just about to come out. That was a revolutionary plane where it could land itself. You had all these 757s and the 767s were coming in as well. Airbus had only just formed and they came out with the A300. So you had a lot more option. And of course, Aerospatiale were also part of Airbus. So they, Airbus were about because of them. Would it have done well? I don't think it would have done. I don't think it would because you've got a lot more choice for, at the time, economical aircraft. Like at the time.
Yeah, but we're not talking about us. We're talking about the increase of rich people, right, who are likely to use, because you were never going to go to New York on Concorde. I wasn't. You weren't. You know what I mean? But the wealth has increased, certainly late 80s, 90s, and ever since. I think Concorde now would actually be killing it. I really do. So considering
it ran through times. Yeah, considering it ran through times where it lasted as long as it did. Possibly. Yeah, possibly. I think nowadays you would have a lot more people flying it. Whether the cost of the plane would be any better or not.
Actually, no, Jim's just put a very good comment. I forgot about the COVID stuff with Zoom now being what people do.
Well, let's ignore. Let's say that doesn't happen. Say COVID never happened and things like that. I would say it probably would have been around for maybe not nowadays, obviously, but if it came later on, like 80s or 90s, then I'd say we'd probably be seeing it, I think.
Because this leads me on to the next thing. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about this or not, but boom!
Yeah, we have spoken about this so many times on the show. It's interesting to kind of talk about because there's no official thing. It's like I think we spoke about it with Jeb Brooks and things like that. And it's all well and good having the frame and designing the frame and sorting it out, but you've got no engines to run it.
Have they not said what engines they're using then? Oh, okay.
I know they're looking at, I think General Electric are supposed to be looking at potentially doing something for it, or I think it's them, or it's Pratt and Whitney. It might actually be Pratt and Whitney that are looking into.
It's going to be somebody American. Let's face it.
But there's no engine yet. There's no engine yet that says we're going to.
Really?
They're saying we're going to fly. You've got the design, you've got the whole thing, but there's no actual engine. I'm fairly convinced
Hang on.
that I've read that there's no actual engine for it yet.
Yeah, just looking at their partners: American Airlines, Northrop Grumman, Safran, United, U.S. Air Force. What? Japan Airlines. Yeah, there's no engine people on there. Let me just. Interesting.
Yeah. So a quick look into it. It says it intends to use moderate bypass turbofans, which can achieve supercruise like Concordes, but without the afterburners.
Yeah, but it only does 1.7 Mach, doesn't it? A Mach.
Yeah.
So
it will have afterburn. It won't have afterburn engines, but there is nothing to say that X company will be providing the engines for it, which I think is astonishing when you've gone right. This plane's coming into service, but you've got no engine to run it.
And also, it's a bit astonishing that American Airlines have said that they're having 20 option of another 20, something like that, isn't it? It's just what?
Yeah.
This is on something. Yeah.
There's airlines that have placed orders with it. But what I find still astonishing, there's no engine. There's no engine to it yet. We don't even know if there's going to be an engine, and I would be astonished if it actually took flight at this point.
Hang on, I'm just right. Engines. Here we go. Right. Really? How many engines? It's supposed to have 4, isn't it?
Supposed to have 4.
Right.
Jim Gemmell makes a very good point. He says they hope to have a test flight by 2026, in service by 2029, and have no engines yet. Been redesigned twice. No chance in hell in that timeline.
Right. I've got a press release up here. Right. Bit worrying because what they're actually. This is all underneath the boom umbrella. So I presume this is maybe a different. Oh yeah, this is going to be their test aircraft. Has 3 engines. Bit worrying. GE, General Electric, JE5, 15 engines, and that's like basically a private jet, biz jet. That is actually pretty rubbish, to be fair.
What you're looking at is the shape of it looking like Concorde.
No, that looks like a private jet, like you see out of London City. It's got an engine above the fuselage by the tail and then 2 on the wings. Yeah, the Overture, which is actually the one we're talking about, which is what their brand name is. They've kind of not mentioned anything about engines on that one.
There you go.
Okay. I'm just going to do press releases because I like doing press releases because they're dead funny. And I recommend that to anybody. Just always look at airlines and airports and manufacturers' press releases. They are quite hilarious.
Alison makes another good point. They were looking at Rolls-Royce, but Rolls-Royce said that they wouldn't design an engine on a speculative design.
Oh, meow.
So that takes Rolls-Royce completely out the picture. So all you've got really then is General Electric and Pratt & Whitney, who I think will probably look at it and go, well, we'd quite like to get our names on this, but whether they can design it in such a quick time frame is
I think General Electric are obviously doing the prototype, basically, which it does look like a biz jet. It's probably like has a capacity of 10 people. Yeah, and it's interesting on their world-class partners. They do not have a. I'm a bit worried that they've got the US Air Force on there as a world-class partner. The only other one that's got any kind of aviation background is Northrop Grumman. Oh, Collins Aerospace, but I don't think they do engines, do they?
No.
Don't know who they are.
Be interesting to see what happens, I think, on this one.
It's all right. They're sponsored by Amazon and American Express, so everything's fine.
Well, at least Amazon, they get next day delivery.
Next day delivery around the world.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. I wonder if they can get engines.
These guys are actually, they're a bit kind of like chances, aren't they? 2024 production launch, 2025 rollout. You're having a laugh. First flight 2026. Okay. I don't think we need to worry. Well, it'd be great to do it, but I don't think they will.
Well, some comments coming in on it. Transatlantic Allison says, I still think it's a dead duck. The think sub, that's supposed to be sub. She has corrected herself. Suborbital is the next technology step for passenger flight, which I think is what they're working on with, like, is it Virgin? Virgin are doing something like that as well, like space travel or something.
I don't even know what that is. Is that the thing they're doing at the moment?
It's the Virgin Orbit thing which is supposed to be based down here at Newquay as well as a space hub.
Yeah, you've got a space centre now, haven't you? Down the back end.
Yeah, be seeing plenty of Virgin 747s coming in. I'm sure of that. To deliver some bits and bobs, but yeah. So I'm with Alison. I think I was optimistic before, but I now think it's not going to happen with this plane. I think it's I think Jim's comment kind of ties in with it, saying that if there was a market for a supersonic transport, do you think the big boys, Airbus, Boeing, or even Embraer, would be in the mix and not some new startup?
Well, here you go. It's this direct from Boom's website under the heading 4-engine design. Delivers efficient supersonic performance, maintains standard temperature ranges, and flies without afterburners to minimise noise and fuel consumption. Well, if you haven't got an engine, how can you make that comment?
You don't know who you're going with. You can't make that comment if it doesn't fly already.
This is the Donald Trump of manufacturers. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like I said, I was optimistic before. I thought the old design where it looked like Concorde with maybe less engines, I thought it looked really nice. I thought fantastic. We're going to get to see an opportunity to see something that's very much like Concorde. Now, and ever since the change of design in it looking like the 2707, it's going down that route of being like the 2707, where it's just not going to happen.
Do we know who's financing Boom?
I think United Airlines have partnered with them.
No, but who are Boom? Is it someone like Bezos and Musk, or I don't know?
No idea. I think that's why
must have a lot of money to. This is a bit of a
lot of money and very ambitious, I think, as well.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with ambition, but it's got to be realistic, isn't it? And
Boom Technology. There you go. Boom. So they are a private company. Boom Technology, founded in 2014, with their products of supersonic aircraft design.
Okay.
Projects. The XB-1, the Baby Boom, is a 1/3 scale trijet supersonic demonstrator.
That's one that's got the G engines in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be what they're on about. Yeah.
And of course, the only other aircraft. So that they've been around for 8 years, and they are their products are supersonic aircraft design, and their projects are 2: the Baby Boom and the Overture airliner.
And none of which are actually 8 years and nothing's happened in reality. Yep,
pretty much.
Okay.
But the thing is, this is what it says with the Overture, and I'm sure you probably read the same thing as what I've read. It says it is to be powered by 3 dry turbofan engines.
Yeah. Oh no! If you go on the press release, it does say it's G. It gives GE something engines. Yeah, fine. But yeah, but it's not the 4 engines that the plane I'm looking at on my screen at the moment is supposed to be having. So yeah.
Rather interestingly, September 2020, the company announced it had been contracted to develop the Overture for possible use as Air Force One.
Where was that?
Just an article that I found where in September 2020, the company Boom announced that it had been contracted to develop the Overture.
Right. These guys, they're just players, okay? They're just trying to get media coverage, blah 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 blah. These are jokers. There's no
Potential.
way.
Yeah.
There's no way that after all the money spent on the new Air Force One, they can do that.
Could you imagine, like, you know,
Not happening.
I mean, it would get you somewhere cleaner and better and faster, but could you imagine downgrading a 747 to a potentially contracted plane that will never,
A
my
plane,
personal opinion, probably not come about?
well, for a start, it has a passenger capacity of 65 to 80. I don't think that's going to work for the president.
No,
Think about it. You know,
no. There's entourage and things like that.
entourage, the press, because they like to have the press on board, all the other nonsense that goes on.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
it's
happen.
strange to think about. Last few comments.
There's some good.
Last few comments before we sort of begin to wrap the show, because we have been going for nearly 2 hours now. So let's have a look here. And so Clive Everly, I think Rob Brown, Plane Sporting, also said this. Collins, our communication and navigation equipment company.
Okay.
Jack Rolls says, hang on a minute, that's like standing in the shower and saying, hold on a minute, saying, love, yeah,
What?
there's not drip on the shower, it's drip proof, no you twit. Off the beer, Jack, honestly.
Yeah, Jack off the beer. Trust me, I know.
Water for you. I think he's been inspired by last week.
Yeah, shut up. Wait till I get him on the red wine.
Yeah. Yeah, off camera, obviously. Only kidding. Jim Gemmell with more information says Boom has a total of 32 investors to the tune of $248 million.
Wow.
So they must really sort of put their eggs in this basket of trying to make this plane work, I think.
Yeah, but 284 million is nothing for that project. It should be billions. Surely has to be billions to do this.
Yes, it's I mean, like I said, I think the plane deserves an entire show on its own. I think
and also I think we should get Jim on to be a guest on that show, because that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, yeah. You've been nominated.
Yeah, I've nominated you.
Yeah, that's it. It's like the ice bucket challenge.
Did you ever do that, Tom?
I did. Yes,
Yeah,
I got nominated and threw a bucket of ice over me. What I didn't realise is that you're supposed to not have rock hard ice, and when I had it tipped on me, it had like frozen together. So the ice cubes were that cold, they froze together. And sort of, as I poured the water onto me, I got hit with a block of ice. So, yeah.
Well, an iceberg just hit my head.
Yeah, pretty much. I know how the Titanic feels now. But yes. So let's sort of begin to wrap the show up. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed the sort of look or the comparison between all three planes, and sort of the reasons why most of them, well, say most of them, 2/3 of them didn't work out. We figured it'd be an interesting topic, and I think it's kind of proved that. And I think a lot of people have learnt quite a bit. I know Jack said he's learnt a bit. I know Lynn Keeble said the same thing as well. So yes, a lot of people learning a lot of stuff here about the supersonic supremacy.
You need to get out more if you're learning stuff from us. Oh my God.
Yeah. Every day is a school day, except today's a bank holiday, and you shouldn't be learning.
No.
So yeah.
And you do realise by putting this on Monday, everybody's going to think tomorrow is, because normally you're on on Sunday, so everybody's going to think tomorrow's Monday, as we all going to do anyway. But
it's a 4-day week. I'm happy.
Well, yeah,
all that matters to me is a 4-day week.
Darren,
Darren I learned Ken is sober tonight. Nothing else.
Just holding it together a bit.
Deary me. Right, let's wrap the show up with some shout outs. It's part of the show where we do some shout outs to friends, family, loved ones, etc. And of course, if you guys have any shout outs, do get them into the chat as well. And we'll show them on screen as we do ours. Ken, if you'd like to get some shout outs out the way.
Okay, probably the first shout out is to Sarah for keeping me under control today. But probably most importantly to everybody that's watching, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Guys watching us and the comments. It's great. It's great. And also to you, mate, because you put on this thing every week. You have no idea what state I'm going to turn up in.
The beauty of it.
But no, it's great. It's
good stuff.
Everybody just watches. It's just great. It's better on a Sunday night, to be fair.
I wasn't here, all right.
Well, yeah, I know.
I was away, all right. I was away.
Away. Actually, I won't say what I was going to say. Right. Be good, kid. Yeah. No, yeah. It's a lovely community, and we have obviously the regulars all the time, and they're real people. Oh yeah, and also shout out to Manu for actually we now got 6 points because we've been
6 points. Yeah.
That was so good. I watched that in the pub. Funny enough.
Let's not upset anybody. But
No. I don't care if you support Liverpool. Admittedly, they did beat Bournemouth 9-0 yesterday.
Well, it was quite interesting. Jack's a West Ham fan, so he was bottom of the table at the weekend before they won. So
they won as well. Can we just slightly going off piece? This season's going to be mad because of the World Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the little teams might win it, like Chelsea or Arsenal.
That's not funny. We're not going to win it.
No, thank you guys for watching, and obviously supporting Tom is it's a laugh. End of.
Jim says that's Paul's car.
Love it. Very
Jim.
good. Very good. Do a quick shout out to MacJet TV Live Express for one, keeping his name short this week, and two, it's his birthday on Saturday.
Happy birthday, Max!
So happy birthday to you on Saturday for turning a very young 17.
Can I get mine now, Tom?
Go on then.
Well, I can't. I'm just going to wait till this finishes. I've got to go to the shops if they're still open. Oh, God, it's bank holiday. Oh, my God. Oh, shoot me now. Bleep, 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 bleep.
No, that's fine. I'll do some quick shout outs apart from that. So thank you to Ken, of course, for providing us with some laughs again this evening in a sober state. I will hold that against you for as long as I can remember it. But no, for doing a wonderful job, and of course, for researching, and of course, we've taught everybody this evening about things they may not have learnt, and that's what we do here on this show is give people not just a voice but a little bit of knowledge at the same time. Shout out to everybody that watched this evening. As well, I know we did it on Monday, but a lot of you have turned out for it, so thank you very much for joining us and watching us for the 2 odd hours that we've been going now. The moderators, of course, Serena, Jack, Ian. I know Steve was in there as well. He's not technically a moderator; he's in there. Big shout out to you guys, and of course everybody on the vision side as well. Shout out to you as well. As a reminder, you can buy Ken's new book. There we go. Caught you off there. Just grab anything.
I forgot that one as well. vimedia.co.uk.
There you go.
Those are goodies.
vimedia.co.uk.
That's the wrong one. It's that one. This is the new one. Oh, God.
There you go. 757 and Landor. What more do you want?
Even though we had a 767 on the original cover, as you know, Tom.
Yeah. I thought maybe the picture had shrunk or something, but
no.
No, but very good. So you can buy those at the website that Ken has mentioned. Next week, I'm not entirely sure what we're doing yet. I say next week, it's about 6 days' time. Not entirely sure what we're doing yet, but you can keep up with us on our socials to find out what we are doing if you don't want to wait until the day that we do it. We are back on the Sunday for the next one, which is episode 77 of the show. So, all that's left for us to do is say our goodbyes. So, Ken, I'll let you say goodbye first. Darren Smith, can we review some wines? If there's any aviation wines you can think of and we can tie it in, then perhaps that'd be great.
I have a label printer.
Yeah. You just get a bottle of wine and just put Dreamliner.
We've actually done that with beer before. But anyway, that's another story.
Whole nother story. Quick shout out as well. Rob Brown Plain Spot in there says, shout out to those in Scotland who went to work. No bank holiday for you.
Not bank holiday in Scotland.
No,
It wasn't bank holiday in Scotland.
Oh my God. You need to sort that out. Oh, shocking.
So, because they'll be saying the same thing, and we'll go, shout out to everybody that worked in England when it's their bank holiday.
They save it up for the day after New Year's Day, the 2nd of Jan, don't they?
Mm.
They get so hammered they can't handle.
That's it. Yeah. Then Transatlantic Allison, what's a bank holiday?
It's when the bank's shut, basically. So we have to have a holiday.
Rob Brown Plain Spot says, what about chutney? The story of chutney and things like that. And Ian's love of chutney as well. Could do a chutney review, perhaps. But yes. All that's left for us to do is say our goodbyes now. So we'll see you next week. So Ken, if you'd like to say goodbye to those that are watching.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'm pleased that I've actually stayed soberish. Haven't got the dog tonight. He's up at my ex's with Madeline, so it's all good. Hence, I'm not drunk. Because if anybody would like to buy a dog, we have really lovely. He looks like Concorde. He really does. That was going to be his name, to be fair. When I looked at him, I thought, that's Concorde. And then with his little ears, canards, he looks like Concorde.
Tupolev's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I think, tenner is yours. He's so well behaved, you wouldn't believe it. Oh,
here, Tupolev. Here, boy. Here, Tupolev.
Tupolev, yeah. No, guys, have a great week. Honestly, just go shine and make it happen. That's all we need to do. And ignore the government.
What a way to end it. It's not quite how Steve did it, but it'll do. Ignore the government.
Well, you have to. Honestly, they're just... Oh.
Yes, it'll do. It'll do.
Can I go now? I've got a bottle of wine waiting.
No. All right, so... All right, so thank you, everybody, for watching this evening. I'll see you next week, 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, and we'll let you know what we're doing on there as well. But for now, have a fantastic 4-day week if you're in England. 5 if you've been in Scotland. Sorry about that. And we'll see you next week for another edition of the show. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't, which is not a lot. Bye.